quarterback of my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers. Thank you, merciful God. It looks like it's just going to be 1 year, so it's August now. So about five months I got to deal with this. Is Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I know this is going to shock everybody out there that a 41-year-old quarterback going into year 21, 2 years removed from an Achilles surgery, 4 years removed from being a good player, and 5 years removed from a playoff win. I know this is going to shock you. But a franchise and an organization that already had offensive problems brings in the quarterback, and I just mentioned the negatives that come with that, and practice isn't going too well. So we're gonna show that the New York Times, or through The Athletic rather, came out with a great article talking about how thus far the Steelers offense, yikes. And the 4 points that they put in this article, again, highly recommend you go read it, and I'll give the writer credit in just a second. But they mentioned 4 things about the Steelers offense that's struggling. The run game, downfield passing, which we'll detail in just a second, no wide receiver 2, and the offensive line is struggling. You can sum that up in one word. Offense. The offense is struggling across the board. The O-line is bad, which we knew. The running game is non-existent, which we know going back to the end of last year. No wide receiver, too. I mean, the article said Scotty Miller. Remember Scotty Miller when he was in Tampa with Brady? Caught that big pass against Green Bay. That's about all we know Scotty Miller for. He's emerging as a potential number 2. Not Calvin Austin, not Roman Wilson, who Aaron Rodgers ripped to the media the other day. It's this guy. So the Steelers aren't deep at receiver. 2 good tight ends, to be fair, but aren't deep at receiver. Running game's non-existent. O-line's bad, and Aaron Rodgers in the deep downfield passing game, non-existent. So regarding the downfield passing game, we'll go in. This is the entire piece regarding that. So we'll go and put this up here from Mike DeFabo of the New York Times and The Athletic. We'll go and read this for the podcast audience, those that are listening. While Rodgers' quick release has married well with DK Metcalf's ability to win on slants, the quarterback has not been able to unlock his big play threat downfield. During Sunday's practice, Rodgers did find Metcalf on a deep cross thanks to some blown coverage. But that touchdown is the outlier in an offense that's relied overwhelmingly on short, quick passes or checkdowns. Continue. During a 7-on-7 period, Rodgers overthrew Metcalf on a pair of vertical routes. This comes days after Rodgers and Metcalf failed to connect on a go route during the 2-minute drill to end Friday Night Lights. The only other memorable deep ball between the two in team periods also fell incomplete about a week ago when Rodgers' pass fluttered out of bounds as Joey Porter Jr. stayed in Metcalf's hip pocket. And then finally, last year, Rodgers completed 35.4% of passes with 20-plus air yards, which ranked 23rd. Compare that to his 2 most recent MVP seasons when he completed 42.9% and 40.3% of such passes in 2020 and 2021, respectively. Again, great article by Mike DeFabo of The Athletic and the New York Times. Definitely check it out. Again, details all the issues with the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Now, some of this, and Mike Tomlin talked about this to the media the other day, and this is fair. The defense progresses quicker in training camp than the offense. And that is true. Like, this is going to sound awful to say. I'm not saying there's not technique revolved in defense, but offense is like a delicate dance, and it's like a ballet almost, and defense isn't. It's mostly about blowing ish up. And by the way, that is Mike Tomlin, the Pittsburgh Steelers' strengths. That's they're a defensive culture in Pittsburgh, for good or for bad. That's who they are. So of course the defense is going to be ahead of the offense. But the way this is sounding, the offense is incompetent. Either the Steelers, they went back in time and got the steel curtain to bring it back. Steelers have a good D-line, but come on, it's not that good to be consistently over and over be getting pressure on Aaron Rodgers. This isn't Philly against Patrick Mahomes, for crying out loud, or Tampa Bay against Mahomes. This isn't that. Checkdowns. Oh, let's see. Aaron didn't throw a lot of deep balls with the Jets last year, now did he? It was a lot of Breece Hall and a lot of, Alan Lazard kind of intermediate stuff. I remember he had one Hail Mary to Lazard, but that felt like it was all the deep balls Aaron had in him. Some of that, in Aaron's defense, Jets had a bad O-line. So an older quarterback who does not want to take hits. Heck, Aaron didn't want to take hits when he was a younger player. He had a great O-line in Green Bay. He doesn't have the luxury to sit back and wait a long time for DK Metcalf to separate downfield. So again, it goes back to, I have for 4 years now on this show ripped Aaron Rodgers' leadership qualities, availability, all of the things. personal statements that don't even relate to football. I have been critical of Aaron. But I think what is not getting talked about enough in all of this, I've talked about it, but I don't think it's been discussed enough because, listen, Aaron to this day, 41 years old, going into year 21, it doesn't matter. If you show up, if the Steelers played, a 7-on-7 and you went to Pittsburgh to watch training camp and you just watched Aaron throw the football to Metcalf and Scotty Miller and to Roman Wilson, these guys, and Pat Freiermuth, you're like, boy, he can sling it still. I mean, that ball just looks beautiful coming out of his hands. And it does. A lot of quarterbacks, Mahomes most notably, their throwing motion, their mechanics are kind of like Aaron Rodgers has been, I'd say, as influential to this generation of quarterbacks than anybody. Arm angles, sidearm, deep, like all of it. His mechanics, they've done some studies on this, are actually more technically sound and more successful, can give you more free range as a quarterback. Aaron still throws a gorgeous football. He's one of the 10 best to ever do it. But what doesn't get discussed enough about this player is that, again, I feel like a broken record, but I feel like I'm the only one that says this. He's not that good anymore. He's a mediocre quarterback at best. And for the millionth time on this show, if we have the graphic here it is, we can show you the numbers. Since 2022, 56 touchdowns, 23 picks. That's a decent touchdown to interception ratio, but completes only 63% of his throws for only 223 yards a game, pass rating of 90. That's well below what it was at his peak. He's 8 games under 500, 13-21. By the way, one of those seasons spent in Green Bay with the Packers and Matt LaFleur. He has 0 playoff wins since 2020. He has made the Pro Bowl 0 times since 2021. And I'm supposed to think that marriage of Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin is going to net playoff success when Mike Tomlin, with quarterbacks in the same ballpark as a current Aaron Rodgers, if we're being honest, i.e. Russell Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, and others, we think that that's going to net different results than this. Steelers, last 5 playoff games. 2017, down 21-0 to Jacksonville. 2020, down 28-0 to the Cleveland Browns. 2021, down 35-7 to the Chiefs. 2023, down 21-0 against Buffalo. Last year, division rival. Steelers-Ravens games are always close, except when it's Mike Tomlin. In the playoffs, 21-0 was the deficit the Steelers faced to start that football game. And I'm supposed to think that just magically is going to go away. Yeah, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. Listen, I won't make my preseason predictions until the week of the opening game, as I do every year on this show. I knew the Steelers offense was not going to be great. I mean, that's, again, old quarterback, Achilles surgery 2 years ago, hasn't been good in 4 years, hasn't won a playoff game in 5 years, is a poor leader, the whole bit. With a bad offensive line, with a limited receiving core, with a coach who just does not understand offense at all, I knew they were going to struggle. I'm considering picking the Steelers to have a losing season for the first time in the Mike Tomlin era, and I've never done that before. I've always, even before I was a Steelers fan, since I became a Steelers fan, I'm like, okay, Tom will get 9. He'll get 9 wins. Even when they sign Aaron, okay, Aaron's about as good as Russell Wilson was last year. Okay, that team won 10 games, had a 4-game losing streak at the end of the season, but they were fine. Russell threw a good deep ball. By the way, that's actually what I would have kept Russ if the goal is to be mediocre again. Just keep Russell Wilson. He at least has a connection with DK Metcalf. No, they didn't do that. They decided to go for the win now move, which Aaron Rodgers has not been a win now quarterback since I was in high school, and I mean that literally. 2021, I was a senior in high school. That's the last year Aaron Rodgers was elite at playing the position. So, I mean, these reports out of training camp are I don't know how on earth you could be shocked by them. I don't know how you could. He's old, hadn't been good in years. Steelers' offense was already limited before he got there. He can't, by the way, part of what's made Aaron one of the greatest quarterbacks ever is his big playability outside the pocket. Well, he's old now. He can't move anymore. I remember there was a game last year against the Patriots. I think it was week 3. That was the shit when he shoved Robert Saleh on the sidelines, where I was watching. I was like, dang, Aaron's moving well. It was a blip. It was like, okay, the Patriots are like the worst team in the league. That's not to be expected. And so, yeah, this is not going to work, guys. It's not. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.